Yes, indeed, man. I mean, had to bring you back, man. This documentary got everybody talking and people going at it. So, it was only right to bring you back and get your point of view, man. But I want to get right into it, man. 50 and Ja. How you feel about both of them going at it? You seen it?
I couldn't do nothing but see it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because 50, tried to smash him with one of the stories that we told on Art of Dialogue before. But what people don't realize is that the story that they put out there is like that. Having to have some money to keep Big and Craig Mack around before he got to Clyde Davis. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't able to tell that story because they didn't have no intel on that story or what went down, or they didn't do their investigations right, which he also led up to the reason why Wolf ain't here today. You understand? They didn't tell that story. They didn't tell a story about Jessica Rosenbaum, who was at the City College situation. You understand? When it was Puff, Heavy D, and Jessica. And that was the Valley Mob. That's the only way. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff and his bullshit. And people they didn't even put that in the documentary. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff.
Yeah, man. I mean, I had to bring you back. This documentary got everyone talking, man. A lot of people want to know why you wasn't in it, man.
Well, first and foremost, I thought I was going to be in the documentary at first until I started talking to that director. I think her name is Stapleton. I don't know her name. I don't know, man. Me and 50 talked like 45 minutes. The producers had been calling me and everything. So this one night, 50 called me up and, they got him on the phone. Me and him was just talking. We was talking about old times. Sit down with Black Hands, sit down with, with Puff Kids, the whole Puff situation, and this documentary that he's going to be doing. You know what I'm saying? So I told him that I was going to, have Kirk and Tim. Kirk would be the one who talk about the business part of it. Tim would be the one who talk about the growing up phase with Diddy and everything and over there working in the record industry with him and stuff like that. They was like family. And I was gonna talk about, the street stuff, what was going on with Bad Boy, with the security, with Wolf, with the City College, with, the time that I knew about when I was with him up until about early 2004 or something like that. But basically the streets and then the traveling with him and the atmosphere and everything. And then go back into the Notorious Big stuff with the Tupac and the whole 9 yards, all the stuff that I knew, you know what I'm saying? So we was talking and he sounded like, yo, listen to him. They gonna spare no expense with this whole documentary. So I said, all right, cool. So what I did was I spoke to Tim and I spoke to Kirk Burroughs. And I was like, yo, because I had Tim's number. Tim didn't know how to get into touch with Kirk. Kirk didn't know how to get into touch with Tim. But Kirk was trying to tell me, give him the number with the Tim. I said, nah, I ain't doing that. So I gave one of the producers the number in the whole 9 yards to get in touch with Tim because I want to see him get money because I know Tim got a hell of a story with Puff. So then I talked to Tim and I told him, yo, listen here, man, we should go in as a package deal. All three of us, we could tell a hell of a story about this whole documentary. You know what I'm saying? From front to start. Then whatever stuff that they get and everything like that. So yo, let's go in there and ask them for 50 a piece. You know what I'm saying? So Tim was like with it, yo, Gene, whatever, go ahead like that. Kirk was like, yeah, okay, cool, Gene. It was like a general census that we was gonna do this in a whole package deal. You know what I'm saying? And then I started speaking to the producers and everything like that because 50 had told me himself that they was going to spare no cost in doing this because he wanted to tell the story and he wanted to tell the story like it was supposed to be told and everything like that. I said, yeah, okay. So then the director. I gotta get her name, man, because it don't even sound. I want to put her on blast because she was telling me, you know, she was saying to me that what I was asking for was crazy, and they wasn't spending money like that. I'm talking about you got footage, you got clothing, you got. I was doing footage. I had pictures, all the stuff that I had. You know, you could figure out a way to pay a brother and stuff like that. And then I was telling her about some prices that I've already received, and I had the invoices to show it. And then she was calling me like I was lying. I'm like, yo, who do you think you talking to? You know what I'm saying? And she was talking about, you know, there's no way nobody paid. Nobody what? I say, first of all you people come with these documentaries and stuff, the first thing you tell me, y'all tell these people out here that y'all don't pay, and y'all pay. If you can make a picture look like $10,000-$15,000, you know what I'm saying? You can sit here and tell me that you're gonna pay me for my time sitting right down here with y'all. You understand? So then, you know, one thing led to another, and I was like, yo, all right, well then, you know, F you, you know, I spoke to 50, and then she said 50, and this is exact words that came out her mouth. 50 does not determine what goes in and go out of this documentary. And he definitely don't pay, he determine what somebody get paid. It's not his documentary like that. I was like, oh, so if it's not his documentary and I spoke to him like that, I don't need to be doing nothing with you, because I'm doing this on the strength of him. But you gonna pay me if I do it. So it went back and forth, you know what I'm saying, for a little bit, and then they had Kirk Burrows giving me calls and everything like that. What are you calling me for?
Wolf had already told, Anthony Wolf Jones had already told them, if you're not taking two tour buses of my niggas from the Valley, that's Co-op City in the Bronx, the Valley in the Bronx, if you're not taking these 2 tour buses of my niggas out there, I'm not going. Had told Puff them, had told Kirk Burrows. You understand? I went down there and Kirk Burrows called me up. He said, yo, Gene, you and Wolf, I got y'all tickets to LA. I said, all right, cool. So I go down there and I pick up the tickets to LA. I got Wolf ticket. So I'm calling Wolf up. I said, yo, Wolf, I got your ticket to go to LA. Wolf said, I ain't going. I said, what you mean you ain't going? He said, yo, Gene, I ain't gonna tell you how I'm making I ain't gonna tell you how to make your money, but I'm gonna let you know this. I told Puff them if they wasn't gonna take 2 tour buses of my niggas out there with us, I'm not going. Wolf is the head of all the functions that has to do with Puff dealing with security. I have my own contract with Puff, yeah. Paul Offord ran Green Gate Security, which is the daily operations of Puff stuff. That's his house, his cars, his transportation. He ran the office, the bad boy office, the clothing, all. He ran the daily operation with his security. Wolf is over whatever's happening with Puff. You understand? Wolf tells Puff them and tell Kirksboro them, no, if y'all not going out there right, nobody should go out there at all. Kirk calls me, I said, yo, Gene, you gonna go? I said, yeah, I'll go, bro. He said, Gene, I said, yo, dog, but we shouldn't be going out there. I tell Kirk the whole, yo, Gene, all y'all gonna be doing is going to the studio and y'all gonna go to Soul Train and go to the studio. Y'all not hanging out, y'all not doing nothing. All me and Puff did when we went there that month was hang out. And I told people all the time, and I said in the documentary before, I thought this kid had a death wish, because all we did was hang out. We never saw Big at not one of the events that me and him went to. The House of Blues, movie theaters, not the California, the Celebrity Club, I guess. Is it Celebrity? No, the answer with a C. Never seen him in none of the clubs, none of the places. You understand? Big ain't coming to none of the places. The one time Big went out is when he got. The one club that he went out to is and that's where he got. So Wolf did not and was not going anywhere that had to do with California. And it wasn't because of the Jake situation. It was that he wanted to be safe, and the only way he felt safe if he was going out there with the dudes from his clique. And that was the Valley Mob. That's the only way. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff and his bullshit. And people they didn't even put that in the documentary. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff and his and that with BMF. That's a big segment in my book that I wrote I wrote a whole big situation in my book regarding that, Mighty. And I know you're doing this. I want to say that right there because I was there the night that Meech had promised Puff, you know what I'm saying? He ain't had to worry about Suge Knight. He ain't had to worry about nobody from this point on. And telling Puff some shit made him think that he could talk to Wolf any kind of way. Because if anybody knew, BMF was powerful back then. They had dudes from everywhere. And Meech telling him he ain't have to worry about nobody no more. It made Puff think that he could tell Wolf that he didn't need Wolf no more.
Yeah, Kirk Burrows, he also said in a documentary that, Diddy, he used Big budget to pay for, Big's funeral.
Yeah, when I heard that ain't the first time I heard it though, bro. They said Big had paid for his funeral through his budget. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody would know that, Kirk Burrows would know that. And I heard Wayne Barrows came out and said some, but to refute that. You know what I'm saying? But if Miss Wallace got a check and the check, if she got Biggie's, if they had Biggie's budget and that was taken out, money was taken out that budget for his funeral, he did use it. And if anybody knew that, Kirk Burrows would know that because he was handling the money and the operations at that time. Wayne Barrows was one of the dudes, him and Mark Pitts, that actually was managing Big's affairs. You understand? They was his manager. Big had told me that he was gonna get rid of them because they didn't know what they was doing before he died. I had a conversation with Big. Big said, I'm getting rid of them because they didn't want to F me up because they didn't want to convince him to sell his publishing and his marketing to Puff. They was Puff boys. I guess they met in school or whatever like that. But Big was going to get rid of them. But because he died and his mother didn't know the business, she kept him around for years. If you look at anything that happened with the Notorious Biggs and his camp, you see Wayne Barrows on there as executive producer. And he was just a manager of some of Big affairs. He was executive producers of damn near everything that went on that had to do with. If Miss Wallace was the executive producer, he was the executive producer too. Look at some of the things that was done. And now he's suing, trying to get money from Faith because of, he's saying that she has to pay the Wallace estate And Miss Wallace is dead. Big is dead. If the estate is anything, it's CJ, Tatiana, and Faith. That's the estate. But he's saying there's some other kind of thing that he's suing them for. So Wayne Barrows is the dude that, call it any way you want to, that's been Sherwood Forest, and he got big them in Sherwood Forest. I'm gonna put it that way. He got his estate in Sherwood Forest.
Crazy, man. But yeah, Kirk Burrows, he spoke a lot in his documentary, man. He was letting everything go. He also said that, Diddy, he did take the Rolling Stone cover from Big after Big died.
Bruh, you have to look at his sociopath, his narcissism, and see that it shows you he really didn't care about Big like he did. What Kirk didn't tell the truth about that whole thing is that even when we was in California, Kirk tried to act like that he didn't know that Puff told him that Big wasn't going to London. I know what the question you asked, but I gotta get this out, bro. Is that on Thursday, me and Puff was in a limousine. Kirk Burrows was getting Puff the itinerary of what Big and what's his respecting, told him that we was leaving Saturday, this, that, and the third, the whole 9 yards. On Thursday, Puff told Kirk Burrows, Big ain't going nowhere. He told him that Thursday, Big was not going nowhere. He said, I don't care what you do, you could go do whatever you want to do, but Big ain't going nowhere. Kirk Burrows was telling him how he had set up this whole and how Arista had paid off all this money for Big to be. Puff was adamant that Big wasn't going nowhere. Now, we were shooting the Hypnotized video. Me and Big was in the Winnebago, and Big was telling me his whole life story. What he wanted to do, his plans, all this shit. He even say, yo, Gene, I would take you with me, but you love that nigga too much. Nigga, I don't love nobody like that too much. What's up? He said, yo, what's up with the money? I said, nigga, you broke. You know what I'm saying? You owe Mike Gadget $30,000 for, I'm just going in on Big, and we just talking all kind of smoking Newports.
I want to get right into it, man. 50 and Ja, how you feel about both of them going at it? You seen it?
I couldn't do nothing but see it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because 50, tried to smash him with one of the stories that we told on Art of Dialogue before. But what people don't realize is that the story that they put out there is like that there was no girls in the room. I told the story and I said that there was girls in the room. I just want to get that out there straight before I tell you how it all went about and what really happened. There was Sarah Chapman and her girlfriend. They flew with us from Atlanta. But let me just start the story like this. Check it out. Me and Puff went to this exotic bookstore, brother. You know what I'm saying? This is the first time I ever went to an exotic bookstore, with Puff. I didn't know he even did that. But we was in Atlanta. So when we went to the door, they gave him a brown paper bag. So I guess this is a place that he was used to and people knew him there. So when they gave him a brown paper bag, Puff was just going around the store, just picking items off the shelves and stuff like that, putting them in a brown paper bag. So then, I was behind him and no Diddy, but I was about 3 feet behind him, you know what I'm saying, as he was putting stuff and putting it in his bag and stuff like that. So this one particular place, that he was put up there, he had to reach up kind of high and get it. So he just started pulling things out, and it was he was pulling a lot of them off there. So I was like, so I looked up and the thing said butt plugs. When he walking down the thing, said butt plugs. I said, hey yo, just to mess with him. I said, hey yo, what are you getting these for? And he said, can I do my shopping by myself? I said, yes, you can. And I waited up at the register for him, you know, because they had the big counter up there. So when he came to the counter, I said, yo, I'm finna see what this one this mofo is putting in his bag. Because I know he gonna have to take everything and put it on the counter so the dude could count it, right? My man, when he came there, he gave the dude a wad of hundreds like this. You know what I'm saying? He gave him a wad of hundreds and just put it up there. The dude ain't even, you know what I'm saying? He ain't even want to know what was in the bag. I was like, yo, wow. So then we was catching a G4 jet. You know, we had to go to the Astra because we was catching a G4 jet and we was going to North Carolina to do this show. So somehow he had Ja Rule to go with us, you know what I'm saying? And him and Ja was talking. And this whole time him and Ja is talking, he talking about Ja going at Jigga. You know what I'm saying? This is crazy. But he was talking about Ja getting at Jay-Z. And he was talking bad and talking crazy about Jay-Z, and how Ja was talking about if it wasn't for him, that Jay wouldn't be the artist he was. He got him started. You know, he wrote certain things and stuff like that to put him out there because, you know, back in the day, nobody was even effing with Jay like that. So, but Puff was trying to, he was adamant about Ja going at Jay. You understand? So, we get to the hotel, we're in the presidential suite and all this stuff like that. So, Ja and him is, you know, chilling and everything, we eating everything, shit like that. So then they all went to the room. It was like him, Ja, Sarah, and her girlfriend. They went to the room. I don't know what they were doing in there. I didn't give a f. But Puff told me, Gene, do not let nobody come in this room. Don't let nobody come in this room. So hour or so went by, whatever like that. Time went by. The doorbell rang. And it was this dude at the door saying that he was Ja's cousin. And I was like, he said, I'm here for Ja Rule. I said, who you? He said, I'm his cousin and everything like that. He said, I said, but yo, he busy right now. I'm telling the dude that he's busy. You know, the dude is talking about, yo, but I want to talk to him. I said, yo, bro, they don't want to be bothered. You know, I'm trying to, you know, tell this kid, yo, they don't want to be bothered, bro. You know what I'm saying? He said, yo, that's my cousin. You know what I'm saying? I said, well, listen here, bro. They're in a room. They don't want to be bothered. You know, and you could see that there's only one room going back that way. What? He talking about he was going through the room. I said, yo, bro, Jesus Christ had to come down here and take the breath out of my body before you go in that room. You understand? Next thing you know, I grabbed him and we started. It wasn't no wrestling thing like that because he couldn't handle it at the time. He could front and tell his friends because he didn't hit me up on Instagram. He could tell his friends all he want to, but that if Puff and Ja tell you the story, that nigga was upside the piano. You understand? So now, Ja and Puff run out. They butt the neck and they was grabbing towels. You understand? They was grabbing towels. And then Puff was like, yo, Gene, what's going on? Ja was like, yo, he said, that's my cousin. I was like, yo, bruh. He tried to get in the room and I wasn't letting him get in the room, bruh. And then Puff looked at Ja like this. You know what that looked like? He said. And then Ja said, you don't want to be up in that room because there was a whole lot of freaking going on. So I started laughing. Dude left. They went back in the room and that was it. You know what I'm saying? So now the story grew as if Ja was in there and him and Diddy was doing, you know, something. And like I said that they were doing something. I don't know what the F they were doing, bruh. The only reason I know was some freaky things going up in there that Ja really didn't even understand because he said, yo, you ain't want to be up in there Cause there's a whole lot of freaky on. So I was like, I wouldn't have known nothing. I wouldn't even care. And I don't care today. But you know how the internet is. They cut and paste what they want to paste, and they put what they want to put to make it seem like I was saying this dude and Puff was in there, alone. And they wasn't. You understand? And that was them. They did their thing, up in there with the honeys in there. I guess. I can only guess. So, listen, bro, I've said this 1,000 times. It was Sarah Chapman and her girlfriend. Now, Sarah Chapman, if people don't know who she is, now she's one of Puff baby mamas. But prior to her being one of Puff baby mama, this is the same girl that was dating Puff best friend, Corey Jacobs, and she was dating Tupac. You understand? So now she, like I told you before, she was the one that Puff betted in the office. He said, yo, I bet you I could get her from Gary Payton. You understand? And I didn't know she dated Gary Payton, but this is what Puff is saying. And it was a $500 bet that he said he'd get it in 2 weeks. We was out in Chicago, me, him, and Sarah. We was at some kind of function that Puff had to do a in-store and a walkthrough. You know what I'm saying? At one of his friends' parties. So, she was out there with her. Next thing you know, he got her like he said he would. You know what I'm saying? That incident with him and Ja, I feel bad, kind of, sort of, really, because everybody's trying to make it seem like, Ja was some kind of weirdo, but it is what it is, bro. I just told you what I seen. Both of them ran out the room butt ass, grabbing towels, you know what I'm saying, with them chicks in there, you know what I'm saying? So whatever they did, that was on them. But that's the kind of games Puff play in order to get people to do what he want them to do. You understand? He got them, he wanted Ja to go at Jay-Z, so he got these chicks to go at Ja. You understand what I'm saying? Whether he did it or fell into it, I don't know. Because I don't know him and Jay-Z beef or why they was beefing in the first place or whatever the situation was. People who are close to either one of them may know more than I do on that. But I knew Puff was working to get Ja to go at Jay, and that was happening.
I bet. Sit down. Cause this story is deep, it's long, and it's wilder than fiction. For real, for real. We talking about decades of whispers. The kind of stories that get passed around in hushed tones at the back of the club, in VIP sections, in studio sessions after midnight. The kind you hear about but never see no receipts for. And all them whispers. They've been circling one name, the biggest name in the game for a minute, Sean Diddy Combs. The man built a whole empire, Bad Boy Records, from the ground up. Billionaire status. Private jets, mansions on mansions, the whole world at his feet. The picture was perfect, polished, shiny. But lately, that picture started cracking. And I'm talking about major cracks, like the foundation was crumbling. Serious lawsuits from people who used to be in his circle. And then the feds? Yeah, the federal police, kicking in the doors at his spots in LA and Miami. A TV documentary dropping, trying to connect all the dots people been talking about for years. It felt like the whole world was finally peeling back the layers, trying to see what was really going on behind the velvet ropes and the flashbulbs. And just when you thought the pot couldn't get no more stirred, a whole new voice jumps in the mix. And this ain't no hater on the sidelines. This is a voice from the inside, the innermost circle, the shadow. His name is Gene Deal. For years, this man was Diddy's personal bodyguard, his head of security. His whole job was to see everything, and never, ever, under no circumstances, speak on it. To be a ghost who saw all the secrets. Well, guess what? That ghost is talking now. And the stories he's telling? They're not just spicy. They're the kind that make your stomach drop. They fill in all them scary, blank spaces in the rumors. They connect the dots with a thick, permanent marker. Somebody got clips of Gene Deal spilling all this tea, these wild, detailed stories, and posted them online. And that somebody was another rap giant. A man who lives for drama almost as much as he lives for hits, 50 Cent Curtis Jackson. Him and Diddy got history, man. They got beef. A 20-year-long, grimy, messy, back-and-forth diss fest. So for 50 to grab these clips and blast him to his millions? That was a power move. A declaration of war. But then, hold up. The plot got thick. 50 Cent took him down. Deleted the clips. Just like that. Vanished. Now why would he do that? Mr. Never Back Down? What was in them stories that was so heavy, so radioactive, that even 50 Cent, the king of trolling, had to hit the eject button? Listen, this ain't just about gossip or entertainment. This is about the truth. So let's break it all the way down. Piece by piece, no shortcuts. First, you gotta understand the mountain we're looking at. Sean Diddy Combs ain't just some rapper or producer. He's a cultural monument. In the 90s, he built Bad Boy and basically ran the East Coast sound. He discovered Biggie. The parties were legendary. The hits were non-stop. The man became a billionaire. For years and years, he seemed untouchable. Like Teflon, nothing stuck. He lived in a world of yes men and private islands, and he was the king of it all. But underneath all that glitter, pressure was building. Little stories would leak out every now and then. Remember that nightclub shooting in '99 Diddy was wrapped up in? Legal trouble, but he walked. Over the years, old associates would mumble things in interviews or court papers about a toxic environment, about control, about fear. But people mostly shrugged. That's just the music biz, right? Then, late 2023, the whole dam broke wide open. Cassie, the singer he was with for over a decade, the one he helped make famous, filed a lawsuit. And it wasn't vague. It was graphic, detailed, and horrific. She spoke on years of abuse, both physical and mental, and some other truly dark stuff. They settled it crazy fast, the next day. But that settlement was like a silent scream. It told everybody, everything you suspected, it's probably true. And probably worse. That opened the floodgates. Then came the biggest shocker. March 2024. Homeland Security agents, in full raid gear, swarm in Diddy's mega mansions in L.A. and Miami. They weren't there for unpaid parking tickets. They were there for evidence in a sex trafficking investigation. Let that sink in. That's federal. That's serious, forever in prison type charges. This wasn't blogs talking no more. This was the U.S. government. Then the documentary, The Life and Death of Diddy, dropped, trying to put all the puzzle pieces together from the outside. It showed a pattern for sure. But it still felt like we was looking at the puzzle through a window. What was it really like in the middle of that puzzle? In the heart of the empire? Who was in the room when the doors was closed? That's where the bodyguard steps into the frame. Gene Deal, the man who stood right next to Diddy for years. His job was to be a silent witness. To see the parties, the business, the travel, the fights, the secrets, and take it to the grave. But a few years back, Gene started talking on podcasts. And when this man talks, he don't speak in riddles. He gives you dates, names, locations, scenarios. He paints a picture of a world where Diddy wasn't just a boss. He was a ruler. And crossing him, saying no, wasn't an option. He talks about how the glamour, the private jets, the stacks of cash, the celebrity access, was used like a trap. Lure people in with a dream, then the rules change. He says he saw women getting mistreated, saw people getting humiliated to prove a point. He even revisits old headlines and gives you the inside version. Like that time Diddy beat down that exec, Steve Stout, with a champagne bottle. Gene says that wasn't no heat of the moment thing. That was a calculated message. A demonstration of power meant to make the whole room shake in their boots. And that club shooting in '99? He hints the real story is way darker and different than what hit the papers. Basically, Gene Deal's stories are the missing manual. They explain the how. How a powerful man could operate like that for so long without the whole world knowing. He talks about the system, the bodyguards, the assistants, the yes men, whose whole purpose was to clean up, to intimidate, to make inconvenient people and problems disappear. His testimony is the glue that makes all the lawsuits and federal raids make a terrible, awful kind of sense. Now, enter 50 Cent, the master troll, the man who built a second career out of cloning people on the internet. And his all-time favorite target? Diddy. This beef is ancient. It's rooted in old label wars, Bad Boy versus Death Row, personal disses, and 50's constant claim that Diddy is a frontin', polished, soft businessman, while 50 is the real street dude. For 2 decades, 50 has taken every shot imaginable. Diddy's dancing, his clothes, his voice, his parties. So when Diddy's legal hell started, 50 went into a frenzy. Memes, edited videos, sarcastic captions. He was the internet's chief comedian for Diddy's downfall. Some folks say he does it for clicks, and he gets mad clicks. Others think the hate is real and deep. So when them Gene Deal clips surfaced, 50 saw a golden ticket. This wasn't just him talking trash no more. This was a first-hand witness corroborating the worst rumors. Sharing them to his 40 million followers was like dropping a bomb. The internet exploded. People thought, this is the final nail. An insider is confirming it all, and 50 got the guts to platform it. But then the twist. After stirring the pot to a boil, 50 just stopped. He deleted the clips. Wiped them. So the million-dollar question is, why? Let's break down the possibilities. Street style. Reason 1. The lawyers came calling. This is the most likely, even if it's the least dramatic. What Gene Deal is saying ain't light. He's naming names and accusing powerful, billionaire-level people of specific federal crimes. Even if 95% of it is true, if one detail is off, one thing can't be proven, that's a defamation lawsuit that could cost 50 Cent more money than he ever made off vitamin water. We talking billions. His lawyers definitely saw those clips. Their hearts probably dropped, and they hit his phone screaming, Curtis, delete that sh*T right now before he owns everything you got, including your socks. Even for a troll king, that's a risk that can end your whole empire. Reason 2. The clips were just too damn heavy. Think about it. We heard some of what Gene Deal said, right? But what if the parts 50 Cent shared were just a trailer? What if the full, uncut, no-holds-barred version of what Gene was spitting was on a whole other level of darkness? We talking specifics about crimes so vicious, so grimy, that even 50 Cent, a man who's seen and rapped about some serious stuff, looked at his phone and was like, nah, I can't be the plug for this. Maybe it named names of other major players who are still out here, still powerful, still moving in silence. People with their own empires and their own dangerous connections. There's a line between cloying your enemy and unleashing a tsunami that could drown the whole industry. 50 might love fire, but even he ain't trying to burn down the whole city block if he's still living on it. Reason 3. A phone call, a threat, or an understanding. This is the street's favorite speculation. Picture this. The clips drop, the internet explodes. Then 50's phone rings. It ain't a blogger. It's a lawyer with a voice like cold steel. Or maybe it's someone from the other side, someone with reach. Not just a lawsuit threat, we covered that, but a different kind of suggestion. A quiet word about the cost of doing business. Or flip the script. Maybe it was a business proposition. Let's squash this. There's money to be made for both of us if this noise stops. 50 Cent is, at his core, a businessman, a savant. He knows when a feud stops being good for engagement and starts being bad for the bottom line. Maybe a calculation was made. The memes are free, but platforming evidence that could trigger World War III in the industry, that might cost you real, tangible deals, partnerships, millions. The bag is eternal. Beef is temporary. Reason 4. The ultimate troll job. It was all part of the game. Now, this theory is for the real cynics, the ones who know 50 Cent's mind is a chessboard. What if deleting the clips was the most genius move of all? By Poston. He proved he had the goods. He got everybody talking, screenshotting, desperate. Then, by snatching away, he created a mythical artifact. He made the story 10 times bigger. Now it's not just Gene Deal said this. It's, what did Gene Deal say that 50 Cent couldn't even keep up? He's masterfully controlling the supply. He dangled the filet mignon, then yanked it back and gave us crumbs. Now, everybody's staring at his page, waiting for his next move, his next hint. He didn't lose power by deleting it. He gained it. He became the gatekeeper of the secret. So where we at now? Let's map this war zone. You got the king on the hill, Diddy. his castles being raided by feds. You got the former head of his Secret Service, Gene Deal, singing like a canary in the middle of the town square. And you got the king's loudest, most persistent enemy, 50 Cent, who just held up the secret scrolls for everyone to see, then threw them in a fire. And now they're missing clips? They're the biggest ghost in the room. The whole world is a skin. What was in them joint that was too much? The real, uncut truth? That's gonna come from the feds and the courtrooms. Them boys in suits with badges, they collecting receipts, hard drives, flight manifests, phone records, the stuff that don't lie. They trying to see if the stories from Cassie, from Gene, from whoever else is whispering, if they can stand up on cold, hard facts. But Gene's stories? They ain't just facts, they're the context. They the director's commentary on a horror film. He's explaining the culture, the atmosphere, the rulebook. He's showing us it wasn't a one-man show. It was an entire support system, drivers, pilots, coordinators, other guards, a whole machine designed to keep the engine running smooth and quiet, no matter what it ran over. The 50 Cent chapter in all this? That just shows you the layers, fam. Even when the truth is trying to bust out, it's still caught up in games, in ego, in fear, in strategy. It shows that speaking the raw and censored truth to ultimate power is a dangerous game, even for other powerful people. It's a reminder that in this world, information is a weapon, and sometimes you put the weapon down not cause you're scared to fight, but cause you're calculating if the war is worth it. Now let's get sinister for a second. What if them clips had something in them that wasn't just about a crime, but was itself a crime to share? A specific detail, a method, a location, a name of another victim that only the guilty or the hurt would know. Sharing that could mess with an ongoing federal investigation, could be seen as witness tampering, or maybe it exposed a truth about how the industry really works that was so ugly, so foundational. It would burn down bridges 50 himself still walks across to get his money. And the most cold-hearted take, it was marketing, pure and simple. 50 Cent is the king of sell your pain. He knew the value of scarcity. By giving us a taste and then talking the plate, you made the whole world hungry for whatever he's selling next. He's the puppet master, and the missing clips are the strings we all see twitching. But the bottom line is this. The most explosive pieces of evidence for the court of public opinion are now in the wind. We're left with second-hand accounts, with summaries from people who saw the clips before they vanished, with Gene's longer interviews, where he might be treading more carefully. The sharpest, most dangerous edges got smoothed off before we could really feel how deep they cut. So, what was probably in those ghost clips? Let's speculate. Based on what Gene has said elsewhere and the lawsuits, we can guess. Named names of the crew, not just some dudes. We talking, this is underscore. He was the one who would handle the dirty money transfers. This is underscore. The assistant who would schedule the special parties. Putting whole government names on the enablers. HD details of specific nights. The Cassie lawsuit is brutal on paper. Now imagine a voice, steady, calm, describing the scent in the room, the look on someone's face, the exact words hissed in a hallway. Not a legal document, but a memory. That visceral, sensory weight makes it real in a way a lawsuit can't. The blueprint of silence. How did you keep people quiet? Gene might have spelled it out. We'd offer him a check. We'd remind him about their family. We'd kill their career before it started. Laying bare the intimidation playbook, the shadows around other tragedies. Gene has already side-eyed Kim Porters, passing with heavy implication. What if those clips had him saying plain, she knew X, and that's why she was a problem? We're talking about Biggie or other unsolved mysteries in that orbit. That shifts the conversation from bad behavior to something that chills your soul. The mind of a king. The most terrifying clip ain't about an action, but a mindset. Gene explaining how Diddy saw the world, how he justified the unjustifiable to himself and his circle, the psychology of absolute power and zero accountability. That's a horror movie no one wants to see the script for. These ain't T-clips. These are potential witness statements. And the fact they got disappeared from the biggest platform they were on, that's a deafening message. there are still forces that can shut down a narrative, even in 2024. This ain't just about one man. This is about the whole ecosystem. The music biz, Hollywood, all of it. It runs on a currency of access, fear, and secrets. For every superstar, there's a crew of people paid to see no evil, hear no evil. The dream is the bait. The nightmare is in the fine print you only read when it's too late. Gene Deal talking, even when he's being careful, points to a terrifying fact. Abuse was normalized in that world. It was part of the operating system. The drivers saw it. The pilots heard it. Other artists smelled it. But the champagne kept flowing. The charts kept getting topped. So everybody played their part and cashed their check. The feds ride in. That means that normal system might have crossed into straight-up criminal enterprise. And when that happens, the people in the machine, the Gene Deals of the world, get a choice. Cut a deal and talk, or go down with the ship. Gene seems to be talking his way to a lifeboat. And 50 Cent Delatin the Clips? That's a perfect, small-scale example of that same ecosystem at work. It shows the limit. There's a line. And when you get too close to it, the content, poof, vanishes. Not by the person it's about, but by the person expos in him. Let that sink in. So where we at? We got a mountain of lawsuits. We got an active, hungry federal investigation digging deep. We got a documentary with a choir of voices telling similar stories. And we got an insider, Gene Deal, who's basically given us the instruction manual for how the whole terrible machine might have worked. But the raw, uncut, most oh my god clips from that insider? They're digital ghosts. They existed. Millions saw him. They confirmed the worst whispers in our spirit. And then they got zapped, not by the main character, but by his biggest, loudest critic. That move, that censorship, might be the most important part of this whole story. It tells you the story is alive. It's dangerous. It's legally and socially radioactive. It tells you the full, unfiltered truth is still too potent, too volatile, for any one person to hold on a public page. The missing Diddy clips are more than deleted videos. They're a symbol, a shadow in the shape of the truth we ain't allowed to see yet. They're the proof that the information itself is power, and that power is still being fought over. The raids happened. The lawsuits are in motion. The witnesses are talking to grand juries. The doc is out, and somewhere on a phone, in a DM, on a hidden server, them clips exist, until they pop back up. Or until their truth comes out in a courtroom under oath. They're gonna haunt this entire saga. They're a reminder, we're all just peeping through the keyhole at a dark room. We've seen some shapes, heard some noises, but we still don't know how big the room is, or what's really lurking in the corners. We only just started scratching the surface, and the ground underneath is trembling. Directly to camera, more intimate tone. Aight, that's the breakdown. This is a live wire. And it's only getting more current. If you want to follow every twist, every update, every piece of this puzzle as it drops, you gotta subscribe. Hit that button right now. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a single thing. When news breaks on this, we'll be here to break it down. No filter. This conversation ain't over. I need to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What theory do you believe? What part of this story hit you the hardest? What questions are still keeping you up at night? And if you think this story matters, if you think pulling back the curtain on power matters, then like this video. Share it. Send it to your group chat. Post it on your page. The more eyes we get on this, the harder it becomes to hide the truth in the shadows. That we just flipped the switch. Let's make sure the light don't ever go out.